بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين على من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah, and may peace and blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. We come to the conditions for a validation of a prayer. That was the last thing that we have discussed. We discussed the adhan, the etiquette of the adhan, how to perform the adhan, and what the mistakes have been done by the mu'adhineen. And now we come into the conditions of the validation of a prayer. What are the conditions for a prayer to be valid? Condition number one is the person needs to know that the time of the prayer had started. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. But the prayer is a timed book upon the believers. So any prayer can never be accepted until the time had started, and it cannot be accepted after the time had elapsed. So you have to do the prayer within the time of the prayer. Otherwise there is no need for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to specify the time for the prayer. So for the dhuhr, it has to be performed from the beginning of the dhuhr until the end of the dhuhr. You can't perform it before, nor you can perform it after. Second condition is the tahara. A tahara is whether it is the major one or the minor one. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ إِن كُنتُمْ جُنُبًا فَاطَّهَّرُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, O you who believe, when you're about to make the prayer, wash your face, hands up to the elbows, wipe your heads, and wash your feet up to the ankles, and if you were on janaba, then make a ghusl. Also the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept a prayer of a person without a purification. In this, we need to know that this tahara is a condition while the person is about to do the prayer. But if the person, for example, had started his prayer, and in the middle of his prayer, regardless how many rak'ahs he had prayed, that he had remembered that he is not on tahara, for example, he forgot to make the wudu, or he made the wudu but he forgot he actually invalidated his wudu, then he's an option, which is an option that so many people they don't know about. That is the option of the stoppage of the prayer and then going to have wudu and coming back and continuing the prayer. Now many people they don't know about this one. For the Prophet ﷺ was about to lead the companions in the Fajr prayer, and he said Allahu Akbar, indicating Takbirat al-Ihram. Then he remembered that he was on janaba. So he gave a gesture, that means he waved his hand to the companions to stay put, not to move. Then he went to his room, which is not far away. His room is, the door of it goes to the masjid. And he made the ghusl, and he came back, and even his clothes or his body still not to be dried. And then he continued the prayer. So the companions stayed put on the position of recitation of the Fatiha. Prophet of Allah went to the place for making the ghusl, made the ghusl and came back, and then he continued the prayer. Now I would urgently, I would say, I would emphasize that a person with an imam could not do such a thing, and I would not really advise him to do such a thing. That is to tell the people to stay put while he goes to have a ghusl or have wudu and come back, because I don't think the people are educated enough to know about such a thing. They will start talking. So the companions waited until the Prophet ﷺ had a ghusl. Scholars, they said, Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he says that if the mida'a, meaning the place for making wudu, is not far away, then the person, if he wants to do such, he needs to know that he's in a prayer. So he cannot talk, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ did not say stay put, but he said like this, because he's in a prayer. And the place of the wudu is close, makes the wudu and minimize as much as possible to face other than the direction of the Qibla. So that means if he has to walk to the midah, which is opposite the direction of the Qibla, no problem. But while he's making the wudu is to face the Qibla because he's still in a prayer. And then he would come back and continue. Now if he's on his own, that's easy. I mean, he's not leading anybody, but if he's leading people, then you need to be educated, knowing. So the people who are present at the moment, they have learned this, so the Imam does that, they know what the Imam is doing. So we say at-tahara, if you have remembered it before the prayer, then you cannot start the prayer until you are purified. But if you remember it, that is, while you're praying, then you don't have to invalidate your prayer, as long as the place for wudu is close, and you can do it and continue the prayer. But if you remembered it after the prayer had finished, then the prayer is invalid. Meaning, the prayer has finished and you remembered you're not on wudu, or your wudu was invalidated, then you have to perform the prayer again. Third condition, the condition of that the purification of your garment, the clothes, purification of your body, purification of the place, meaning that there is no excrement or urine or any impurity on your clothes or your body itself, or in the place that you are praying. And this has been supported by verses from the Quran, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ, and for your clothes, make sure that they're pure. And also the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if a person comes to the masjid, let him look into his shoes. That is, the Prophet ﷺ's masjid was carpeted by the sand or the stones, the chips. So they used to pray with their shoes. So look into your shoes and see if there is any filth, that means impurity. If it's the case, then rub it against the ground, otherwise pray in them. So here it shows us that we have to have purity of the clothes, meaning the shoes and the clothes and everything. As for the purity of the body itself, for the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you make sure that you make the wudu for the person who was doing madi. Madi means the fluid that comes out which is impure. He said to him, make wudu, and also, that is, wash your private part. Because the private part, if it has madi, the madi is impure. So you have to make sure that your body is also pure. I'm not talking about making the wudu or making the ghusl. I'm talking about impurity on your hands, for example. Somebody touched excrement. So if you touch excrement, for example, it does not invalidate your wudu. But you need to have your hand cleaned in order to pray. Now, if the person had made sure that the clothes and the body are to be pure, we know from the hadith of the Bedouin who had urinated in the masjid, Prophet ﷺ asked the companions to throw a bucket of water in order to clean the spot where he urinated. So if the person is about to pray, make sure, not just for the wudu, and not just make sure, for example, the purification of the ghusl, but also that his clothes are pure, and also his body is pure, and the place that he's praying upon is pure. But if he had prayed, and he forgot to remove the impurity, then if he remembers in the prayer, he removes it. What is the proof for that? Prophet ﷺ, one day he entered the masjid, and then while he was praying, he took his shoes off and put them on his left while he is praying. The companions behind him, they did the same thing because they follow the Prophet of Allah, so they thought part of the prayer is to take his shoes as well while you pray. When the Prophet ﷺ finished the prayer, he looked behind and he found that the companions had took off their shoes and put it on their left, exactly like what he did. So he said, why did you do that? So the companions replied, Messenger of Allah, we saw you doing this, we did it. They did the same. So the Prophet of Allah is championing that the sort of absolute following of the Prophet, the companions. This is, the ultimate following of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, that whatever he does, they will do it. So, but he said, verily, I've done that for a reason. Jibreel alayhi salam came and he said to me that there is impurity in my shoes. So if a person comes into the masjid, let him look into his shoes before he prays with his shoes. If his shoes are pure, then let him rub it against the ground. So we know how to purify the shoes now, by rubbing it against the ground, and then let him pray in them. So we've understood as well, we have gained as a benefit from this hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that if you have partly prayed with your garment, with your clothes impure, no problem. Because the Prophet ﷺ, he had already started his prayer with his shoes got impurity. And he had prayed part of his prayer with his shoes is not clean. So it did not affect his prayer. So he took them off and then he continued the prayer. If the person forgot to remove that impurity, he forgot and just remembered, oh, I did not remove it, or he found out later on that he had an impurity, then it does not affect his prayer, alhamdulillah, because the Prophet ﷺ had said so. So we say that the person, he had prayed with an impurity on him without knowing, then his prayer is valid. It is different from the person being on wudu or the person not being on janaba. If he's been on wudu or no wudu or not being on janaba and he remembered after he finished the prayer, we have a hadith to indicate that we need to repeat the whole prayer. That is the hadith of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu warda. He had led the companions in a prayer in the Fajr, and then after he had led the prayer he remembered that he was on janaba. So he himself repeated the prayer where he did not command the rest to repeat the prayer because they had prayed behind the Imam. And the Prophet ﷺ said, they pray for you. If they are correct, then it is for you and for them. And if they were incorrect, then it's upon them and it's all the time for you. That means they're not going to be sinned. So the companions did not repeat the prayer, but Umar al-Khattab, he repeated the prayer. Because of that reason, we say that if you hadn't had Umar al-Khattab's narration, we would have said, if you forgot as well about your wudu, no problem. But because of this narration, we say that the person who forgot to make the wudu or his wudu was invalidated, remembered after the prayer, then he has to repeat the prayer, Allah Ta'ala. The other condition for the prayer is to cover the awrah. Now the awrah, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, he says in Surah Al-A'raf, Ya Bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. O son of Adam, take your garments and beauty, that is to adorn yourself, make sure that you are covering the awrah for the sake of the prayer. And Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah will not accept the prayer of a woman that is an adult except she had a khimar and is covering her head. As for the man's awrah towards another man, it is awrah that is between the navel and the knees. The navel, no, the knees and awrah, so it's in between them. So the knee, you could show it, the navel, you could show it, but beneath the knees, the navel, the belly button, and above the knees, you cannot show that. So the knee itself, you could show it, the navel, you could show it. But in the prayer, we do have a hadith, which is Imam Ahmad, he had taken this hadith as to be hadith which is authentic, and he had implemented the fiqh of it. That is, لا يصلين أحدكم في الثوب الواحد ليس على عاتقيه منه شيء. A person who is praying with one garment, he should not pray with one garment just covering the bottom half, which is from the navel up to the knees, but if it's long enough, he should really have it to cover his shoulder. So he would take the two ends of it and he wrapped them on his shoulder and he would tighten them up here, so in order to cover the bottom part and the shoulder part. So you're not allowed to show your shoulders when you are praying. So these shoulders, you're all right to show it to another man, no problem, it's not awrah. A female, a woman, who's a stranger, she could look at the shoulder of a person, no awrah. But he's not allowed to show this shoulder while he's praying. So for those who pray at home, and they pray with the vest, which is the one which has got thin line, the vest, that is not allowed. Their prayer is invalid. They need to cover. So if it's a vest which is a cover of the shoulders, like we'll call it, the half, that one covers, there's no problem. If it doesn't cover, and it's been asked at the time of the Imam Shafi'i, the Imam Ahmad, they were asked, can the person pray with the garment covering the bottom half, and then a rope was being put on his shoulder, a rope. Now, at that time there was no vest, okay? But this is the rope we're talking about. It's a little string, covering the shoulder. He said, no, it's not allowed. You have to cover the shoulder. So, covering the shoulder is important. And where do we see people uncovering the shoulder when they pray with millions? Makkah. Hajj. When they are in state of ihram. All of them, they uncover the right shoulder, and then they pray with uncovering the right shoulder. They don't know, they have invalidated the prayer. So the person uncovers the right shoulder just for the sake of the first 7 rounds, which is Qutaf al-Qudum. Then after that he covers it before he prays behind Maqam Ibrahim. Now the Satr al-Awrah for the woman is all of her awrah, except for the man, the stranger, not to see from her. He could see nothing, but he could see, the only thing that he could see, the hands up to the wrist, and the face. It's better to cover them, but it's not a must. Now, all the rest is awrah. But in her prayer, she's allowed to show not just the hands that we have showed in there, not just the face, also she's allowed to show the bottom of her feet. Meaning, when she prostrates and her garment would go a bit, shorter, then the bottom of her feet had shown, then there's no problem because it's been shown at the time of. But the top of her feet is not allowed. If she had showed it, then the prayer is invalid. So we say to the women, make sure that you pray with a long garment, and the garments of the companion women at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were covering from the front up to the floor. From the back they had a tail which is as long as a cubit, an arm length, like this. That is a tail which we don't see anymore. The tail is gone now. And that tail used to drag on the floor. And even the companions used to ask Messenger of Allah, what about that? Drag some filth, some impurities. Prophet said, يُطَهِّرُهُ مَا بَعْدَ. That it will be purified with whatever it touches afterwards. So if it touches impurity, then it will encounter it. It will be purified. Alhamdulillah. So, showing the top portion of your feet, it will invalidate your prayer as a woman, even though there is nobody there. But you could show the bottom of your feet, and this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. As for the final, or not the final, the one before the final condition, that is to face the Qibla. Facing the Qibla. Now before I go to facing the Qibla, I need to as well elaborate regarding the awrah, which is of the person. If the person was praying, and suddenly his trousers fell down, or for example, the woman, she's covering her hair, little girl, she pulled her scarf away, then she's just like the impurity. You remember, she removed it while you're praying. Same thing, if you are able to straight away to cover the awrah, so it fell down, put it up. The woman, she took it from the child, straight away, she covered herself, there's no problem, she continues the prayer. But if she left it, and she did not do anything, then her prayer is invalid. We remind those people who are putting trousers on, that the trousers has the number of bad things. Number one, the tightness of the trouser. And the trouser, regardless, how baggy it is, most of them are tight. And the tightness of this is that it would show the shape of your thigh. And the thigh of yours, it is not different from the thigh of a woman. Meaning, just like the thigh of a woman is awrah, it's awrah. So, I don't think you would like to see your sister or your mother or your wife coming out with a trouser out. Well, why do you as well say to yourself the same thing? Because the trouser, she's got an awrah which is her thigh, and you've got an awrah which is your thigh as well. So the thigh is awrah in both cases. I urge those people that got trousers on to divorce the trouser 3 times. They can't go back until they marry somebody else. And if they can't, then they could put a long jacket on it. And the jacket covers up to the knees. So the jacket, one of these coat or caps or whatever, up to the knees it covers, then it's very good. But to show the trouser, and plus the third one, which is I've seen so many times. These people got trousers, they got shirts as well. When they make the sujood or they make the ruku', that shirt will shrink and then would show the back, and even would show the backside. Backside, everything. And I've seen it so many times. A'udhu billah. And we say to the person, if he does not cover it straight away, his prayer what? Is invalid. So if he does not cover it up, once I was praying, next to me a man, soon as he prostrated, everything showed. So I had to pull it straight away for him, and he was scared. I had to do that for him. And then every time I would prostrate, he just makes sure. And then, it's too much to do all the time. You're not going to be by yourself, looking at yourself from the, So the best thing is to cover yourself. I would say, carry your beauty on them to the masjid. So if you can't go to work with the thob or the Pakistani sharwal or kamisa, then I would say to you, at least, to the masjid. Some of the masajid, mashallah, they do have thobs. It's more important than having the hat, really. And the hat, is not a must. Okay? But covering the awrah is what? Conditions. So I would say, have a thawb. This person, especially for those people who work as well in the meat shops or work as a takeaway, they're going to smell with, food. So they have this, put those on, and after they finish, put it off, and they take their, clothes for work. So it's very important. Allah Musta'an, we're going to have now like a place where we're going to be hanging the hat, the thawb, maybe the beard as well. So the person puts it on, full gear, prays, and then after he finishes, put the beard. You never know. Facing the Qibla is a condition if the person knows where the Qibla. Any person praying to other than the direction of the Qibla, his prayer is invalid. It's a condition. But there is times where you're able not to face the Qibla. Number one, in the times of the fear. For verily, from the prayer of the fear, which we haven't discussed, that the companions prayed with the Prophet ﷺ, part of their prayer, their back is to the Qibla. And their face is to the enemy. So they were praying, Allahu Akbar, and their back is where? To the Qibla. And their face is to the enemy, because the enemy was on the other side. Because everybody faced the Qibla, the enemy would go and attack them and kill them. So they had to split the army. Half of it was with the Prophet ﷺ facing the Qibla, and the other half guarding them with their back, and they are in the prayer, joining the prayer as well. They're not waiting, they're praying to show you the importance of the Jama'ah as well. Also the prayer of the sword, or the prayer of the gun. So if the time of the prayer is on, I cannot delay the prayer, for example, the Asr, to push it to the Maghrib. So I had to pray wherever I am. While I'm shooting, while I'm swording, everything I had to pray. So the prayer that there's no facing of the Qibla. Also in the voluntary prayer, if you are on top of your camel or into your car. Now I'm saying this, the voluntary prayer, not an open check. So for example, I'm praying my sunnah. Can I pray my sunnah towards this way? No, brother. You have to pray towards the Qibla. But if you are in your car, on top of your mount, then the Prophet ﷺ used to pray his prayer, the voluntary, on top of his camel, regardless where the camel goes. Whether it's the Qibla, the other way to the Qibla, is no problem. So if you are in the car, not as a driver, you can't pray while you're a driver. As a passenger, it is a sunnah which has been abandoned by a number of people, that if you are a brother driving in a long distance, you could pray your what? Your voluntary while he's driving. You pray your voluntary regardless where the car is. So voluntary, but once it is obligatory, then you have to dismount, get out of the car, and pray towards the Qibla. You can't pray on top of the camel or inside the car. Unless you've got a van, of course. If you stop the van, you pray in your van, you could stand up, it's no problem. You can pray the voluntary sitting down, it's no problem. The person who comes to a location where he can't find the Qibla, let's say he doesn't have a mobile, doesn't have a compass, doesn't have a sun to see, can't figure out the Qibla. Now, regardless what he prays, his prayer is valid. Even though that he realized after his prayer that he was praying the other way, the other direction, there's no problem. But if he was praying towards the other direction and he's in the prayer, somebody said to him, turn left or turn right, because he's telling him that you're wrong, then he would do that while he's praying. And the companions have done that. So there's no harm as well for a brother to see as a person who's praying towards other than the direction of the Qibla, to come from behind him and do what? Turn him with his hand like this, tilt him towards the Qibla. And the prayer is okay, even part of that prayer being prayed to other than the direction of the Qibla. Wallahu ta'ala. Finally, last condition is the niyyah. Niyyah means the intention. Meaning the person, he has to have the intention of the prayer that he is praying and to have that in his heart. Meaning that he knows what he's doing. Just like for example, this is a dhuhr, fard of dhuhr, fard al-asr, or the sunnah of the dhuhr. He's not allowed to utter the intention, okay? Because the Prophet ﷺ never uttered it, and only he would just stand up for the prayer, and he would just face the Qibla, and then he would say, Allahu Akbar. But as for the person to say, I want to intend to pray for Rak'ah Dhuhr behind the Imam of Kingston, in the present time, who lives in such and such postcode, and all of that. This is not from the Sunnah. By the time you finish your, that sort of bid'ah, he's already had finished your Fatiha and the recitation is about to make ruku'. So all of that is from the bid'ah. not from the innovations, not from the sunnah, to utter your things in your tongue. Even if some of the people, okay, in my heart I would say, for rak'ah, no. That means you know what you're doing. So you come into the Isha, and I'm doing for the Isha. So Allahu Akbar, that's Isha. It's exactly when you are going to the toilet. As soon as you go to the toilet, okay, you don't need to have an intention that, stop here. What do I want to do to the toilet? I want to intend to urinate and after that flush the toilet. No, I don't do that. Straight away, something happens in my stomach, I go to the toilet. True or not? Okay, you're not going to the kitchen, are you? You're not going to go to the bedroom. Straight away, prayer, the time of the prayer is on, I will go to the prayer. I know what I'm doing. That's what it's called, I know what I'm doing. That's the call, the intention, which is a condition, Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Now coming to the sifat al-salah, how the person prays. Listen to me, I'm going to describe the whole of the salah as the Prophet ﷺ had prayed it. And with simple as possible, to keep it to the simple version, and not to really go to the details yet, but just to go to the simple version. So listen, and listen to the things as well that the people they do, which is not part of the salah. First of all, when the person makes a prayer, he faces the Qibla, and he has to be close from a sutra, unless he's praying behind an imam. Sutra means a shield. So you have a wall as a shield. You have, for example, the leg of a table as a shield. You have the back of your brother is a shield. You have a tree is a shield. The shield has to be, which is a sutra, at least about 40-45 centimeters, just that height. So that is enough for you as a sutra. But to have that like this, laying down, it is not enough for you as a sutra. It's not high enough. The person needs to be close to that sutra, meaning when he prays, his prostration, if it's, my sutra is here, so his prostration will be on that line. So when his head he prostrates on line, so he's not really far from it, nor he is charging, so close like, he's knocking his head to the sutra. It's not from the sunnah as well. The sunnah is to leave a gap, as the Prophet used to leave a gap. Now, Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Verily all actions are based upon intention. So, now, your intention that you want to do the prayer, and you want to do it for the sake of Allah, nobody else. You start your prayer by saying Allahu Akbar. There is no such thing, I intend to pray for rak'ah, Lord. It had put me off when I learned this. When I was a kid, my mother used to teach me what to pray. Say, نويت أن أصلي 4 ركعات فرض حاضر خلف الإمام. And then I used to make a mistake. Mother, teach me again. And then I forget about it. It's too much for me. I can't learn it. And all of it should be bid'ah. It's not from the sunnah. You just say Allahu Akbar. How simple is that? Just face the Qibla, the shield, Allahu Akbar. Now he would raise up his hands, those hands with a takbir, and they would do Allahu Akbar, or you could do it before or after. So you could just say Allahu Akbar, or you could say Allahu Akbar, and then you put. So it's whether before or after or with is no problem. But watch my hands, Allahu Akbar. Now Allahu Akbar is like this. The hands either were this here. Look at that. This one, it could be up to there or up to here. So like this or like that. Like this or like that. See, the companions were so precise to narrate for us that either that the top of his fingers will be in parallel to the top of his ears. Okay, like this. Or they will be saying up to his earlobe. And that is really precise, precision. Even if you had a video to take the Prophet ﷺ and to watch that video, I don't think you would be able to distinguish. But the companions, they work like more than a video camera. So what is wrong here with the people they do? The people they do like this. Some people, Allahu Akbar. Or some people do, Allah, you don't raise up their hand like Allahu Akbar. What is that? Allahu Akbar. I mean, you're praying for Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. If you are in an army, the army, and the 1, 2, 3, stop, salute, whatever. Can you do in front of your commander like this? Can you do that? I'm asking. What happened to you? Punishment. Go on, run. No, don't do like this. You can't. You have to do it. The prayer as well. I have to be there. Allah is watching me. So I'm going to do the prayer. I'm present. No. Just doing a routine, something which is like I'm just getting on with it and that's it. No. As soon as I'm present, that I am making now the communication with the Lord. Lord is watching me. He's before me. Allahu Akbar. When I say Allahu Akbar, watch, and I go like this. Some people, they go Allahu Akbar, they go down, and then they go up. They go down, and then they go up. Especially if they are joining a Jama'ah, and already the Takbiratul Ihram is being done. Okay? Especially if the Imam is in the ruku', they come, they say Allahu Akbar. Why? It's Allahu Akbar, down, straight away. So it's, when you say Allahu Akbar, down for the ruku'. Now, Allahu Akbar, down for the what? For this. No Allahu Akbar like this and then like that. So Allahu Akbar, put the right on the left. The right on the left, the correct hadith, it says right on the left on the chest. Hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib, what he said is below his navel or in his navel, it is not authentic. So the hadith where it says on his navel is not authentic. So the correct opinion is on top of your chest. Okay? As below the navel on top of the awrah, that is rude. A person just putting like this, you know, it's not even bothering to put his hands, just it's relaxing, you know, it's like relaxing like that. It's not right. Okay, I understand that some of them put on the navel, I understand that, but this is an unauthentic. But those people who really like in the navel on their awrah, that is rude. That's not really being, you know, mannered with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty. Right, on the chest. Now when I say on the chest, it's not all the way there. Some people, you know, suffocate themselves. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but I did. And that's not from the Sunnah. Okay, that's it. Now, I have two choices. This or that. This or that. What is people do wrong? Like that. That is wrong. People do like this. It's like this or like that. I can't do like this. Right. Now, his eyesight will be on his place of prostration. What is wrong? People, they do everywhere apart from their prostration. They're like foxes. With their eyes everywhere. I don't know how they concentrate in their prayer. Even they, you know, if somebody makes a joke, they will laugh at you. True or not? I'm not joking. I'm just saying. Person, he was, wallahi, I've seen him. He was laughing in the prayer while the people making joke. He's laughing with them, and he was. And one day, I left the prayer, and somebody who's got 2 rak'ah or 3 rak'ah, I can't remember. 1 rak'ah, it could be that he wants to finish. As I'm coming towards him, he was looking at me and smiling. I thought he was not praying. So with my hand, I was coming to shake his hand. Wallahi. So as soon as I approached him, then I realized that he was in a prayer. He was looking at me. Is this a prayer? Wallahi, it's not a prayer. And you are praying, concentrating with the Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Musta'an. Coming back. So his eyesight locked, and he would say, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. But there is before that the ad'iyah. Dua al-istiftah. What is the dua al-istiftah? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك تبارك اسمك تعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. That's the dua al-istiftah. He used to say it in every prayer except for one prayer. Anybody would like to tell me which prayer? Janazah. There's no dua al-istiftah in the prayer of the janazah. Coming back, then he makes isti'adah. Then he makes the Fatiha. Then after the Fatiha, he would read a surah. And when he reads the Fatiha, he reads it like this. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. There is no such thing. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. As-sirata al-mustaqim. As-sirata al-an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim wala-d-dallin. Amin. There is no such thing. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. So every verse he used to, كان الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقطعها. He used to divide it. Ayah, ayah. When he finishes the Fatiha, it is Ameen. And after the Fatiha, he reads the surah. And he used to make sometimes the surah long, sometimes he made it short. And he would recite the following loud in the 2 rak'ah. First 2 rak'ah of the Isha, first 2 rak'ah of the Maghrib, and the 2 rak'ah of the Fajr. He used to recite loud, meaning Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, but silent. So you would say, and then you would start Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. So Bismillah Rahman Rahim is to be silent, and Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin is to be recited loudly until he finishes the Surah Al-Fatiha and the other surah. Also, he used to make recitation loud in the following prayer: Salat al-Eidain, the two prayers of the Eid, prayer of the Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. Also in the prayer of the Istisqa, seeking for the rain, and also the prayer of the Kusuf, which is the moon eclipse or the sun eclipse. As for the two rak'ah of the Dhuhr, which is the second two rak'ah, or the second two rak'ah of the Maghrib, the Isha, those two rak'ahs, they will be shorter in recitation than the first two rak'ah. Meaning, whatever you pray in the first two rak'ah of the Dhuhr, you pray with less recitation in the second, the third and the fourth rak'ah. So, first two, they are longer than the third and the fourth in any prayer. So it is not from the Sunnah to make the third and the fourth equal or more than the first and the second. So, in the first and the second, recite the Fatiha and Surah, and sometimes you could recite in the third and the fourth as well Fatiha and Surah. But if you did not recite a Surah, or you recite it, they are less than the first and the second, and that's the Sunnah. When he used to finish from his recitation of the Fatiha and then the Surah, he would stop for the sake of his breath. And he would say, Allahu Akbar, raising up his hand, Allah, exactly as Takbirat al-Ihram. And then he would go to his knees, and he would hold his knees like that, like an eagle claw. Put his hands on his knees, and he would make spaces between his fingers, like that. Hold his knees, and he would make sure that he's grabbing them. It's like he is holding them. It's like he's snatching them, okay? That's how the Prophet ﷺ used to do that. And he used to make sure that there is a gap between his elbow and his body. So when he makes the ruku', he's not making a ruku' while his hand stuck to his body, but actually there's a space between his hand, his elbow, and his side. Then he would perform the ruku' can I just have somebody, so I could just really demonstrate with that, Muhammad? Imagine this is the qibla, doesn't matter. I'll make the ruku' as I said, and I want you to do
Allah.
Be careful with the hands. Allah Akbar, go down. Right, now you see that's holding and you're like grabbing. Now this ruku' with this hand is not this way, it's this way. So and now look at the back, it has to be settled. So if I put the cup of tea, don't worry, I'm going to put it. It will not drop. So watch my for mobile, settled. So some people they pray like this, no, like this, isn't it? You've seen them. Yeah. You put something, it will go down. Some people they exaggerate, will go like that. As well, they will go down. Some people they pray with the level, but this head, up. Sah? Some people they pray with it down. It's supposed to be what? Level with the middle. That's the. See, I'm praying as well and making sure that everything as detailed as the Prophet ﷺ. Right, and he used to make tranquility in his ruku'. Meaning, when he makes ruku', at least he would say Subhana Rabbil Azim once. So it's not grabbing and coming, grabbing. We're not going to the gym. We are praying with tranquility. Say Subhana Rabbil Azim. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, even if you put the water there, it would settle, it will not spill. And he would say Subhana Rabbil Azim 3 times. You could say it 4, 5, 6, 7, as much as you want. And he would say as well, other ad'iyah, but Subhana Rabbil Azim now is enough, inshallah. Subhana Rabbil Azim. Then after that, he would go from the ruku'. Sami'a, say. So while he was going up, he would say Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. And when he's up, like this, he would start saying Rabbana wa lakal hamd with this. So this is raising up the hands with what? Not with Sami'a Allah liman hamida, with what? With Rabbana wa lakal hamd. You could say it before or after or with, just like the Takbirat al-Ihram, before or after or with. So again,
Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana wa lakal hamd.
Watch your hand, because your hands sometimes Sami'a Allah liman hamida, and you already know Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. And now I'm going to say Rabbana wa lakal hamd with or before or after, it doesn't matter. Now some people, what they do, go up without saying anything. They then say Sami'a Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd. So they left this empty. Or some of them they would say Sami'a Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Say it.
Sami'a Allahu liman hamida
Rabbana. They leave this as empty. And those are both wrong. So we have two remembrance. One dhikr for this going up, which is Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and one, so when you are up, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Stand, just say. After that, the person, you need to know that he has to have the posture upright like this. He can't just halfway, Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and he goes down. Some people, they do that, even some of the masajid. Unfortunately, they do that, especially the imam. They call it the supersonic imam. Or the Ferrari imam. You heard about the Ferrari imam? Yes, on YouTube, just Ferrari imam. Just put Ferrari imam in the YouTube, and you'll come up with an imam I've never seen as fast as him. The Taraweeh of Ramadan. All Taraweeh, it does not go more than 15 minutes. That's 11 rak'ah. Okay, so you just put Ferrari imam. And the guy who chose the name, Jazakallahu khairan, he's right. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? No? Okay, if somebody has got Google, please, or just put them into your Ferrari imam and show it to us, inshallah, show it to the brothers, and they will believe what I'm talking about. You got it already? Okay, show it to them. Okay. You got internet? Alhamdulillah, that is being confirmed. Unfortunately, this type of prayer is absolutely unacceptable beyond any doubt. That's not a prayer. It's not a prayer at all. This shouldn't be. This is actually messing about with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's, pillar, which is the prayer. Right, now we're coming to after they have Sami Allahu liman hamidah, now we're going to go to the sujood. So he would just go to the sujood, putting his hands first and then his knees. And that's the sunnah. Prophet said he used to put his hand before the knees. And the reason behind this is two reasons. Number one is that this is the sunnah. The Prophet said that. Number two, it's safer for the knees. If you want to have a kneecap, you know what's a kneecap? Something wrong with your knees? Yeah. You should landing on your feet. Now, imagine now you are in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. It's not carpet, it's stones. Can you land on your knees? Maybe two lands and that's it, you're finished. Can't get up. True or not? But because in your carpet now you don't feel it. But if you imagine the Prophet ﷺ, second landing and that's it, you finished. Can't get up because you have shattered your knees totally. So you go with your hands. But why is some of the scholars they say you go with your knees? Because they thought that the hadith is wrong, it's supposed to be the other way around. Why they said that? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, don't imitate the camel when you go down. But this is misunderstood by those respected scholars, because they think that the camel, when he lands first with his hands. And that's why we have to be different from them. We land with what? First, with our knees. Okay. Can you imitate the camel for us, Muhammad? You got the camel. That's the camel. Jazakallahu khairah. Right. Go on you for it. Anybody would like to tell me when the camel goes down, which one goes down first? Is this one or that one?
The knees. The hand.
Hang on. Which one? This one?
The front.
He said the hands.
The front.
The front. The front. He says the hands.
The front.
So the front. Somebody said the hands. He said that's a mistake. He says hands.
Camel doesn't have a hand.
How can a camel have a hand? You know? Camel's got 4 legs. So when the front goes, he doesn't have hands. It's the legs. Have you seen the camel saying, hello, salam alaikum? That's the hand. Have you ever seen a camel waving his hand? Hand is a hand. Leg is a leg. So he's got 4 legs. And the knees of the camel on every 4-legged animal is in the front. Do you understand that now? So the knees of every 4-legged animals, where is it? In the front. So when he goes with his what? With his knees. Again, hands? With his knees. Yeah. With his knees. Because his knees is in the front. The front legs, not front hands. His knees. So we have to be different from her. We go with what? Hands. We've got hands. He hasn't got hands. Okay? So that's the whole misconception here. Interpret it for you as simple as that. Right. Now we go up to the hand. And as I said, it is very practical. If you had chips and stones underneath, you can't go down with your right feet. No way. So go with your hands. From the sujood, Allahu Akbar. And then go down. And then his knees first. So his knees, they land now softly. After your hand took the full impact, you land with your feet softly. And then now, he's going to sit down for our sujood. What do you call it?
Where are you pulling me?
So you're making the sujood. Now, that's the sujood we need to know to make sure that we're making the sujood. Lots of people make mistakes in that sujood. First mistake is that their hands is not in parallel with, just like when they make the Takbiratul Ihram, with parallel with like earlobes. The Prophet ﷺ's companion described it like it's in parallel. So the mistake were that they put their hands forward. You put your head, put your hands forward. Some people do like this, drawn up. You can see them. Okay, some people do the opposite. No, put your hands down. That's what. Yes, close. Some people do like this. That's wrong as well. Also in the sujood itself, the sujood has to be normal. So some people, overstretch yourself. That's a push-up, that's not a sujood. Some people exaggerate, grab yourself. No, make the sajda here. You understand it? That's as well wrong. It's the normal way. It's not overstretching, nor it is you are so pressurized.
Stretching.
Jazakallah khair. Right. Can I have you? Because it's tired now. It's not right sujood, that's why. Sit down.
I'll get you on camera.
Turn your face to the other side and show us get the feet. Now the feet, when you make the sujood, make the sajda. Okay. Those, first of all, the hands, you see the hands? Those has to be like this. They're not supposed to be like that. Supposed to be what? Like this. Unless you pray in jama'ah, you're not supposed to push too much. Prophet ﷺ's armpit used to show when he used to make the sujood. So this is the sujood. Then the 2 feet are to be stuck like that. So praying with the feet like this, with people that do, or like that, all of it wrong. So do it like the right way. This is the correct way. Plus, those 2 toes, you see the toes there? They're bent towards the Qibla. So everything's towards the Qibla. So people pray like this. Okay, that's wrong. Okay? Some people pray like that. Is that right? Most of the people, look at them, they pray like this or play like that. Okay? So all of that wrong. All of them are not right. Now this is jeopardizing the prayer. Because when you are making sujood, you have to have 7 limbs touching. What are the limbs? 1, 2. So if you did like this, you're missing 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, the knees. Hands, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's the 7th? The head and nose is one place. Head and the nose. People, they pray with the nose not touching. No prayer for him. Sujood is batil, invalid. So those are the 7. So when the person who prayed like that, he had as well missed the prayer. Look at that. So many people don't know this. So one condition is gone. Now if you didn't know about it before, don't worry about it. From today, as soon as you know, you have to do it. Otherwise, your prayer is jeopardized. Alhamdulillah, our brother, mashallah, is covering his back. His no. Inna rabbaka labil mirsad. It is not the religion we are keeping, it is Allah. So if it's us to keep it, we failed it a long time ago. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal, He is the one who's, the religion of Islam has been kept by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until the day that Allah says that there is no religion. And every single verse of Quran in the chest of any person will be removed. And that's when the day of resurrection takes place. But we know that Prophet ﷺ said, there will be days, and those are days called Ayyam al-Sabr. Ayyam al-Sabr, the day of patience. These are the days of patience. Why doesn't he sit down and learn? You know what makes us really lose our ibadah? Is the arrogance. The person's got arrogance in his heart. It's very hard to control that arrogance. Why should I listen? I could do better. No Shaikh Google, just Google and that shit and learn. If your Shaikh is Google, I'm sorry to say to you that you're going to miss a lot of things. If Shaikh is G's and Google and Twitter and Facebook and all of that, we don't really have that Shaikh. You have to learn it from the scholars, and we have learned it from them. You have to learn it. We are students of knowledge, you are students of knowledge. That's how we take it. Not just simply to sit in front of the TV and listen to musical channel and whatever's channel and Islamic channel. No. I have to gain the knowledge, I have to sit down. But as I said, sitting down is not easy. It's not easy to make yourself to sit. Because you've got something to do. You want to go. So unfortunately, yes, there is, I would say, shortcomings from the people of knowledge, not to give all their knowledge to the people, but the most of the shortcomings coming from the people. They're not listening. They don't want to listen. They want to just stay like this. If you want to say like this, I'm sorry to say to you that you have to worship Allah with knowledge. You must upon you to learn that your nose touch the ground. You can't just say, I don't know. Okay, I don't know, but فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ, come and learn. How are you going to know? You have to learn.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Come forward, come forward. That's it. We have to learn the etiquette of knowledge. Sitting in the back is not from the etiquette of knowledge. Father.
Because basically, I want to ask, with all the actions you've been demonstrating talk about throughout this whole talk here, suppose like you've placed like your arms in a cast or something, or you've got an injured back or a leg or something, crutches, something like that. You can't really go Allahu Akbar or do all the kneeling. Then obviously is that like sort of, I think so. I've seen other people as well that are using a chair as well.
Yeah, right. Allah Azza wa Jal does not burden you over what you are capable of doing. So if this person cannot stand up, he could pray sitting down. If he can't pray sitting down, he could pray what? Leaning back or on his side. Allah does not burden you over your capability. If the person has got a cast on his hand and he wants to do the wudu, just do the wudu for the limb that he can do wudu, and for this, doesn't do anything. There's no mask, there's no wiping, nothing. Khalas. You just do the wudu for those areas that you can't do. You can't touch the water, you've got skin irritation, tayammum, dry ablution. Oh, mashallah. The sand, rock, tile, bismillah. And then, so I'm ready now for the prayer. Simple as that. So alhamdulillah, Allah. Now, but you have to learn. One of the when you just did your hands like this, some of the mistakes that people do like this. Allahu Akbar. Jonah.
I do.
So it's not an ignition of a car. On, off. People have to touch their ear. Why are you laughing? So, but why did he do like this, the person? Because he saw other people doing it. He did not take it from a book. There's no such book that says to you, touch your ear and flick it like that. But yeah, you have to learn your prayer. You have to learn it from the Prophet ﷺ. I can't learn from somebody else like that. I've seen somebody like that like this. Wallahi. Some people sit like this in front of me. Allahu Akbar. I don't know what is this person wrong with him. That means he wants to make sure that he said the takbir. Allahu Akbar. He said, no, it's like those persons. They call it anxiety. You know, anxiety. He's got anxiety. Jonah, he wants to make sure that he has said it, because if he doesn't do like this, if he didn't feel that flick of the ear like that, that means he did not do that. Wallahi, ya Shaykh. Wallahi, I know that. Those people, we need to help them. Wallah, we need to help them.
What's the solution to this? I know somebody like that.
True. What is the solution? Because you know somebody like that. You know somebody like that. Like the solution for this. It's very important. Solution for this is make him to sit down and teach him. Wallahi, don't worry. Do like this, like the sunnah. And even the shaitan reminds him, you didn't do that. You didn't feel your ear flicking. That means you haven't done. Wallahi, that's what it is. Tell him, don't worry, leave the shaitan. If you leave him once, twice, he will go and look for another customer. But if you keep going to do like this, he loves you as a customer for him. Because he got another job, you know? You don't really want to have another person, to look for another person. So if you just do once, twice, and you don't listen to him, khalas, he will leave you. But because he thinks he hasn't done it, he has to feel, has I done it? Yes, my ear is in pain, that means I've done it. That's what it is. But some people, they do it because they have seen other people that do it, like this. So that's not right. So Allahu Akbar. I'm not really going like this all the way. Allah. Look, not like that. Allahu Akbar. Not like this, not like. And this is, look. My shoulder. Allahu Akbar. Look. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Not Allahu Akbar. No, not here, not in the head. It's Allahu Akbar. Here. And this is here. Okay? That's it.
If you do here, because we do in my country, Turkey occupied the Balkan, and I'm part of that. And all that part we are doing like this.
Yeah, I know.
Not playing like that.
But you do like
just
this.
Touching it.
Yeah, touching it. That's right.
Have touch. Just we bring.
Brother, we've seen the Ferrari Imam comes from Turkey as well. The Ferrari Imam comes from Turkey. And the bank, we said that from where? Afghanistan. If you do masah on the socks, we have this customers. You did not come to the class.
No, I didn't, sorry.
Okay, the masah, we said, the person, he could make masah on socks or in shoes or anything which is called covering, as long as it covers up to the ankles, covering the area where the area of the wash, right? Some scholars say it doesn't have to cover the ankles, but it is more to be safer, cover the ankles. Person, he makes wudu and he puts his socks on, both together. That means 1, 2, and then he start making the masah. And he start making the masah. Once he started invalidating his wudu and making the wudu and make masah, he will count 24 hours if he's a residential. And if he's a traveler, he will be 72 hours. Is that understood? 3 days or 3 nights for a traveler, for a person who's a resident.
Before he puts his socks on, he has to
Full wudu.
full wudu. And then let's say if he goes to the toilet and then he wants to make salah, but he just do
Wudu, you mean, make wudu.
Yeah.
Make wudu, make masah.
Just do masah.
Yeah, you could make like this, you could make like this, you could make like that, you could make like this together, no problem. Doesn't have to be with 2 hands. And the masah is from the top.
Just up to the.
No, just not like this, like this.
Just that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to really make sure that the water goes over the top. Just like this.
Yeah,
Simple.
that's all.
Yeah, that's it.
Jazakallah khair.
Shaykh,
That-
one question, sorry. After Isha, when we do witr, what's the best way? There's 2, 3 different ways that we see.
The witr is to be done, the best thing is to be done in the last third of the night. But the best cannot be maybe performed with everybody. For example, your best maybe is to do it straight away after the Isha because you're not guaranteeing yourself to wake up. So your best will be at the beginning. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to pray witr at the beginning. But the best for Umar Khattab, he used to pray at the last of the night because he used to guarantee himself to wake up. So he used to do it at the last. So Prophet ﷺ prays both. He prays both. As for Abu Bakr, he took the hazm, that means it's short. Umar, he took what the shiddah, which is the stream, sort of harder. But the one who does it in the last third of the night is, more rewardable. Okay?
No, the way it's prayed.
The way it's prayed, the witr.
The witr.
The witr, the best prayer is to pray 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 1. But you could pray it as follows. That is 5 rak'ah. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th rak'ah with 1 tashahhud. Then after that, 2, and then that witr. So make it 7. Or you could pray it 7 like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make tashahhud, stand up, make a rak'ah, then 7th rak'ah, you make tashahhud and your salutation. So you've done 7 rak'ah one go with 2 tashahhud. The first one we said 5 rak'ah with 1 tashahhud. This one is 7 rak'ah with 2 tashahhud. 1 on the 6th rak'ah, then you stand up for the 7th, and then you make tashahhud and salutation, then you make 2 rak'ah after that. Makes it how much? 9. 7, 2, 9.
Normally it's done with 2 and then 1.
The best one is 2, 2, 2, 2. Now the last 3, you could have an option doing them 2, 1 or 3, 1 go. But not like the Maghrib.
That's the thing.
Not like the Maghrib.
Yeah,
What do you mean that like the Maghrib?
Don't sit on the...
Don't sit in the middle. Don't sit in the second rak'ah. Do you understand?
All 3 all together.
Yes, 3 together with 1 tashahhud. So we do 5 or 7. And then the last one, which is 9, 1 go. So you pray 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th you make tashahhud. Stand up for the 9th, then sit down for the tashahhud, and then salutation, then another 2 rak'ah until 11. Okay? Subhanakallah bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.